Hola. I'd rather keep this anonymous. I'm from Yucatan, and this didn't happen to me. It happened to my grandfather. He's almost 80 now, and he still tells it like it just happened yesterday. He worked ranches his whole life, started when he was really young. Hunting wasn't a hobby, it was just something you had to do. This happened when I was about 12, maybe 13. We were 10 people in the house, and I was the oldest. So when my father left, everything became my responsibility. He would leave for days, sometimes almost a week, taking cattle to other ranches. Back then, there were no trucks. You had to move everything slowly, step by step. Sometimes it took days. So while he was gone, I had to make sure everyone ate. There was one trip around November. He left again. Days passed, then more days, and we ran out of food completely. I begged my mom to let me go hunting over and over, but she wouldn't let me. Not during that time, not with all the stories people talked about. So, eventually, hunger won, and she let me go. It was almost 4 in the afternoon when I left. The sun was already going down. Everything had that orange fading light, shadows stretching too long. My mom gave me her blessing, told me to be back by 9, even if I didn't find anything. I agreed, just so she wouldn't worry, and I left. I walked for hours, maybe 2, maybe more. The ground was dry, cracking under every step. The sound felt too loud, like it didn't belong there. Then I saw it. Tracks. Fresh. A deer. A big one, the kind that could feed everyone. The tracks led down a narrow path toward an open clearing. There was an old pasture there, abandoned. No one used it anymore. I remember thinking, I still have time. If I find it there, it won't be hard to catch. I knew those paths really well, so getting there wasn't difficult. But by the time I arrived, it was already night. That was a problem, because if I caught something that big, I'd have to make multiple trips, back and forth, and coyotes could get to it first. Still, I kept going. I reached the abandoned pasture, and there it was, a deer with 6 points on each side. I didn't think about it, not even for a second. I raised the rifle, slowly, trying to keep my hands steady, aimed straight at its chest, right where the heart should be, and I pulled the trigger. I didn't think about it, not even for a second. I raised the rifle, slowly, trying to keep my hands steady, aimed straight at its chest, right where the heart should be, and I pulled the trigger. The sound, it hit harder than usual, like it bounced off everything around me and came right back. The deer jolted, its legs kicked up for a split second, then it dropped, flat, completely still. I just stood there for a moment. Then I felt it, that relief. To be honest, it felt like I could finally breathe again, like I wasn't going to go back home empty-handed. I walked closer, slow, careful. Then I dropped to my knees beside it. The dirt was dry, sticking to my palms. And I remember I actually said, "Thank you," quiet, almost whispering. It didn't take long, maybe a few seconds, but then something changed. At first, I thought it was just in my head, but no, everything around me just stopped. No crickets, No wind brushing through the dry grass, nothing moving, nothing making a sound. Even the fireflies, I swear they were there before, little flashes in the dark, but now it was just black, empty. I stayed there, crouched next to the body, listening, trying to pick up anything, even the smallest noise. But it felt wrong, like I wasn't supposed to hear anything at all. Looking back now, I should have left right there. I should have just walked away, but I didn't. I took a breath, forced myself to move, and I stepped closer to the deer. But when I got there, it wasn't there anymore. I froze completely, my eyes locked on the ground, because the only thing left was a dark, thick pool. The blood, it looked wrong, too dark, almost black, and it wasn't fresh either. It had already started to thicken, like it had been sitting there for a long time. I didn't understand it, not at first, but then it hit me. Something wasn't right about what I shot. I grabbed my things, fast, didn't even think about anything else, and I started walking back, as quickly as I could without tripping. I kept looking over my shoulder every few steps. I don't know why, but it felt like I wasn't alone anymore. I must have been walking for maybe 2 hours, maybe less, maybe more. Time didn't feel normal anymore. It was almost time to head back anyway, the time my mom told me. So I just kept going, didn't stop, didn't slow down. Then I reached this higher part of the land, a narrow trail cutting through thick brush. I knew that path. I'd walked it before. I stepped in, and as I kept moving forward, the night got darker. Not like normal night. It felt heavier, like the darkness itself was getting thicker. My flashlight, it was already dying. The beam was weak, flickering, and I didn't have extra batteries. So I knew, sooner or later, I'd be walking blind. I turned it off for a bit, tried to let my eyes adjust, used whatever little moonlight there was. But even that didn't help much. I had walked maybe half a kilometer when I heard something off to the side of the trail. It sounded heavy, like something shifting its weight. Then a sharp knock, like something hard hitting stone. It reminded me of a hoof, like when a bull hits the ground with force, slow but strong. I kept walking, tried to ignore it, but the sound didn't stop. It started happening more often, closer together, louder, like whatever it was keeping pace with me. My chest tightened, and I picked up my speed. I didn't want to run yet, but I was close. Then I heard it again, right next to me. That's when I turned on the flashlight, hands shaking.
Trying to see where I was going, and that's when I realized it wasn't just a sound anymore. Something was actually there, moving beside me. It kept up with my pace, step for step, like it was matching me. I turned my head, slowly, and I saw it. To be honest, I wish I hadn't. It was the biggest, most disturbing thing I had ever seen. But it didn't make sense. Not fully. It looked like a person, but the way it moved, no, that wasn't right. It was on all fours, but not like an animal. Its arms, they were bent wrong, supporting its weight on what looked like bare bone, like the skin on its hands was gone or peeled back. I couldn't tell, but I could see something wet, dripping. Its body moved fast, too fast, but uneven, like it didn't know how to move properly. There was something dark on it, like fur, or maybe just dirt stuck to it. I couldn't tell. Everything was moving too much. I snapped my head forward, didn't want to look again, didn't want to understand it. Then it made a sound, like something choking or trying to force air through a blocked throat. It was loud, sharp. It actually hurt my ears. I covered them instinctively, and I started running. I didn't care where I was stepping, didn't care if I fell. I just ran, and I could hear it. And for a second, I could actually see its full size. That's when it hit me. It was about as big as me. Same height, maybe a little taller, but the way it moved on all fours, it made it look wrong. I've always been tall for my age. Back then, I was already around 5'7", and that thing, it matched me. Exactly. It crossed right in front of me, fast, too fast, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. That was the only path back home. My eyes were watering. I could barely see. Between the tears and that weak flashlight, everything looked blurry, unstable. But I remembered another way, a shortcut. It would take me closer to the ranch, but it meant crossing near a cenote. That place, people avoided it. Too many snakes, venomous ones. You step wrong, and that's it. But at that moment, I didn't care. That felt safer than whatever was chasing me. My body didn't even think. It just turned, and I took that path. I ran through brush, branches hitting my arms, scratching my face. Didn't feel any of it. Then I reached the edge. There was a fallen trunk laid across like a bridge, over the gap. I didn't slow down, didn't check. I just stepped on it and crossed, barely keeping my balance. Somehow, I made it across. And then, I saw it. Far away, a faint light. The ranch. I froze for half a second, trying to make sure it was real. And yeah, it was. I was close, maybe 10 more minutes. That's all. For the first time, I felt something else. Relief. Like I was actually going to make it back, to my mom, to my brothers and sisters. But it didn't let me. I saw it again, right in front of me, standing in the middle of the path. This time, it wasn't on all fours. It stood up. On 2 legs. I stopped. My body just shut down. It was tall. Too tall. Easily over 8 feet, maybe more. I couldn't feel my hands or my legs. It was like the blood just left my body. And then, I heard a gunshot. Right after that, birds everywhere. But the thing is, they were daytime birds, the kind that only make noise when the sun is out, and they were all calling at once in the middle of the night. I don't remember anything after that. I blacked out. The next thing I remember, I was lying on the ground at the base of a small altar. There were little clay figures around me, placed carefully, like someone had arranged them. I was next to a cenote. The air felt damp, heavy. It was night, and there was a woman there, talking to someone, but I couldn't see who she was talking to. I could only hear it. Her voice was normal, calm, like she was just having a conversation. But the other voice, it didn't sound right. It was deep, too deep, not loud, but it felt like it was coming from inside my chest, not from outside. I tried to look around, tried to find where it was coming from, but there was nothing there. I managed to sit up, slowly, everything spinning. The woman noticed me. She stopped talking, looked at me, and smiled. "Kid, you're lucky," she said. "You're very lucky." She told me it wanted to take me, that I made it angry and it had been waiting for me. I didn't understand anything. The name she said, it meant nothing to me, but hearing it, it made my stomach turn, like I wasn't supposed to hear it. She told me she had been taking care of me for almost a week. A whole week where I wasn't really awake, just drifting, having nightmares over and over. Later, my mom told me what happened that night. My siblings had just gone to bed, and she stepped outside. I remember that night way too clearly, more than I want to. We had just lit a fire, just something small to heat water, nothing unusual, nothing that should have turned into all that. And then this hummingbird showed up. Yeah, at night. I don't know why, but that's what stuck with me first. A hummingbird, just hovering there, way too close to me, not scared, not moving like it should. It just stayed, like it was watching me. Hummingbirds don't come out at night, at least not where I live. That's when my mom noticed something was off. She didn't say at first, just went inside quietly, grabbed my dad's shotgun, and came back out like she already knew something was wrong. The horses were restless, pacing in tight circles, hooves hitting the dirt harder than usual. The dogs, they weren't just barking. They were locked onto the trail, low growls, then these sharp, desperate barks, like they were trying to warn us or keep something away. I could see a light in the distance, my lamp, barely glowing, but the way it moved, it wasn't steady. It jerked side to side, too fast, too uneven, like someone running, but not in a straight line. More like stumbling, but still coming towards me. That's when I knew something wasn't right. I got on the horse, didn't even bother with a saddle, just climbed up and pushed it forward. It didn't want to go. I had to force it. The closer I got, the worse it felt, like walking into a place you're not supposed to be, like your body knows before your brain does. And then I saw it. Something was standing in front of me, in the path, blocking the way home. I couldn't make out a face, just a shape, too still, too stiff, like it didn't breathe. The horse stopped, dead. Then it jerked back hard, like it refused to take another step, and before I could react, it threw me off. I hit the ground hard, knocked the air out of me. I remember the dirt in my mouth, the smell, dry, metallic. I got up, barely, grabbed the shotgun, and fired. I didn't even think, just pulled the trigger at that thing. Right when the shot went off, all the birds nearby, every single one, they started making noise at once. Not normal chirping, it was chaotic, loud, like something had disturbed all of them at the same time. And that thing, it started moving. Not running, not walking, just twitching, sharp, broken movements, like every sound hurt it, like it didn't know how to move properly. It turned, slowly, and went off towards the mountain, disappearing into the dark. My mom came running up to me. I could hear her before I saw her, breathing heavy, scared. She grabbed me, pulled me close, kept looking behind us, like she thought it might come back. She carried me back to the ranch. I don't even remember the walk, just flashes, the dogs still barking, the fire dying out, the way everything felt off. My siblings were already awake, panicking, asking where we were. They laid me down, took off my clothes because I was burning up. I had a fever, bad, and I kept waking up, screaming. I don't remember what I was seeing, just that I couldn't control it. My mom told me later, sometimes I'd sit up in bed, completely still, not saying anything. My eyes rolled back, just white. Then I'd lay back down like nothing happened. The next morning, she took me to a woman, Lane. She was known for helping with things people don't talk about. That's when everything got worse. She told my mom, "When they brought me in, I was burning with fever, but that wasn't the main problem. She said something inside me caught her attention immediately, something that didn't belong, something that had attached itself to me. She called it malicious, strong, and she looked genuinely worried. She told my mom she'd do everything she could, but my condition was serious. She asked them to leave me there with her, said it would be easier to work that way, said if they didn't, I might not come back the same, or at all. After my mom and brother left, she started some kind of ritual, trying to understand what was happening to me, trying to communicate with whatever that was. She said she saw it. She described it like it was right in front of her, something that had been tormenting me, clinging to me, watching, waiting, not human, not anything she had dealt with before. She said it was powerful, stronger than anything she had encountered, and she admitted she couldn't force it away on her own. That's when she told her son to gather feathers, birds that sing at sunrise, especially the ones that start before the light comes in. She said those mattered for whatever she was planning next, and the way she said it, it didn't sound like a solution. It sounded like buying time. It sounded like that same noise, that same chaos I heard in the car. I froze for a second. Right there, a few steps from the wreck, my ears were ringing again, even though everything around me was already loud. People yelling, metal cracking, fire moving. But underneath all that, it matched. It matched too well. I kept moving anyway. I don't know why. Maybe because everyone else was. Maybe because stopping felt worse. There was a car near the front, completely crushed on one side. The windshield was spiderwebbed, but there was a small gap, and inside there was a man, still alive. He wasn't screaming like the others. That's what got me. He was making this low, broken sound, like he didn't have enough air, like every breath was stuck halfway. His mouth was open, but the sound coming out didn't match, like his voice was lagging behind his body. I reached for the door, tried to pull it open. It wouldn't move. Someone next to me was trying too. We both pulled. Nothing. Then the guy inside, he looked at me. I swear, I wish I was making this up, but his eyes didn't focus right. They moved, but not together. One locked on me, the other slightly off, like it was looking past me. And his lips, they started moving, slow, uneven, like he was trying to say something. I leaned in closer. I don't even know why I did that. I just did. And then I heard it. Not from the crash, not from outside, but from him. The same voices. Layered, overlapping, desperate, coming out of his mouth, but not matching his breathing, not matching his face. It was like multiple people were trying to speak through him at once. I pulled back immediately. My hands actually slipped off the door. I almost fell. The guy next to me asked if I was okay. I couldn't answer.
I just stared at that man inside, still moving his mouth, still making those sounds. And then he stopped. Just like that. His mouth stayed open, eyes still off, but no sound came out anymore. I stood there, not moving, while everything else kept going. People shouting, glass breaking, fire spreading. But for me, it all felt distant, because all I could think was, I had already heard those voices before I even got there. And I still don't know if that was the first time, or if that thing in my car was just ahead of it.
People in those small towns always warned us. They said, never stay up late during Holy Week. To be honest, we just thought it was one of those old religious superstitions, something to keep the kids in bed. But we didn't listen. And looking back now, that was a huge mistake. This happened about 4 years ago. My parents and I took a few days off to visit my grandmother in this tiny rural town in Colombia. She lived in this massive old house, a place that had been passed down from my great-grandfather. It was one of those houses that felt way too big for just one person. During the day, it was fine, but at night, the whole place turned pitch black. The street lights in the town were dim, and the silence, it was heavy. From the second we arrived, I felt something off. I don't know why, but I just wasn't happy to be there, not like I usually was. There was this weight in the air. That first night, none of us could sleep. We stayed up watching TV, huddled together in the living room until almost midnight. I even remember us joking about the superstitions, laughing about how nothing ever actually happens during Holy Week. We finally decided to head to bed. The room where we were staying, it had this tiny, cramped window. The glass was old, and there was this jagged crack in one corner, leaving a small gap. You could hear the wind whistling through that hole like a low, steady hiss. It was freezing that night, way colder than it usually gets in that part of the country. Shh! I woke up suddenly around 3 a.m. My parents were already sitting up, whispering to each other in the dark. Their voices were so low I could barely hear them. I asked, "What's going on?" My dad looked at me, and even in the shadows I could see how stiff he was. He asked me, "Didn't you hear those noises?" I told him no. That's when he told us he'd been lying there for a while, listening to footsteps on the roof. Heavy, methodical steps. At first, my dad tried to tell himself it was just a stray cat walking on the shingles. But then, the footsteps started to sound heavier, way too heavy for an animal. After a moment, the noises stopped. He thought it was finally over, but then we heard a sharp creak. This time, it wasn't coming from the roof. It was coming from the hallway, right outside our door. He figured maybe my grandmother had gotten up to use the bathroom. He peeked out, but the hall was completely empty. He tried to ignore it, but then a loud bang echoed through the house. The door to the room next to ours, it slammed shut. That room was always kept locked. It was where my great-grandfather's old belongings were kept. Nobody ever went in there. My dad started to think someone had actually broken into the house. He got up to check, walked down the hall, opening every door, but he found nothing. He came back to the room, but by then, none of us could even think about sleeping. A while later, another bang, this time from downstairs. The front entrance gate, it had slammed shut too. This didn't make any sense because that gate was always padlocked from the inside. Dad texted my grandmother asking if she was up. She said no, but she'd check. Minutes later, she messaged back saying the gate was still locked. The padlock hadn't been touched. After that, the silence in the house, it became unbearable. And then the worst part started. We heard this sound on the hallway doors, like someone was, slowly dragging their nails over the wood. Slow, agonizing, scraping. Nobody said a word. Until, something touched our door. We stayed perfectly still. A few seconds later, it happened again. A light, deliberate tap. My dad thought it must be my grandmother, and he got up to open it. As he walked toward the door, I looked through that tiny, broken hole in the window glass. There was something there. A dark silhouette standing right outside the window. It wasn't just a shadow, because I could see a pair of eyes. It was completely still, right in front of the window, so close it was almost pressed against the glass. I don't know how long I looked at it. Seconds felt like hours. The moment my dad opened the door, the hallway was empty. I looked back at the window, and it was gone. Shh. I didn't say a word. I was too terrified that if I said it out loud, it would make it real. The noises, they didn't stop. They kept going for a long time, until the sun finally started to peek over the mountains. The next morning, nobody really wanted to talk about it. To be honest, it felt like if we didn't mention it, it didn't actually happen. Some people in the family said maybe it was just my great-grandfather still wandering around the house, making sure everything was okay. But what my grandmother said, that's what really stayed with me. That morning, when she went outside, she found something in the dirt. Footprints. Barefoot prints leading right up to our window. Prints that didn't belong to any of us. Since that night, she never leaves the hallway in total darkness. She always keeps a lamp lit. She says she can't stand to see the house completely black anymore. And to be honest, I haven't looked at the shadows the same way.
This next one was shared by someone who wants to stay anonymous, but she told me I could call her Ruby. She grew up in the mountains of Puebla in this massive family. Her dad walked out when she was just a little girl, so her mom had to work all day, leaving the kids to basically raise each other. Ruby was the youngest, so she was always the target. Her brothers used to pull these pranks on her, things that, looking back now, weren't even funny. One afternoon, Ruby fell asleep in one of the back rooms of the house. Her brothers and a few of the neighborhood kids decided to pull a sick joke. They hung this doll from the ceiling right over where she was sleeping. It was a life-sized doll, and they'd painted it red, so it looked like it was soaked in blood. When she woke up, that was the first thing she saw. She started crying instantly, completely terrified. She pulled the heavy blanket over her face, shaking, listening to the muffled laughter of her brothers hiding just outside the door. But then, she felt the bed dip. Someone sat down right next to her. She felt a hand on her shoulder. She says that strangely, she calmed down almost immediately. She stopped crying. Whoever was there, they pulled her close against their chest, even with the blanket still over her head. She was too scared to look, but she managed to peek through a small gap in the fabric. She saw a white dress and long black hair. It was a woman. The woman didn't say anything at first. Then Ruby heard her voice, very soft, almost like a breeze. She whispered, "You are not alone. Do not be afraid. I'm going to take care of you." The woman let go, got up, and walked toward the door. Ruby finally uncovered her face just in time to see the woman's back as she walked out. A second later, her brothers burst into the room, laughing. They took the doll down, acting like it was all just a game. But Ruby knew someone else had been in that room with her. I didn't say anything. I never told them what I saw that day. But after that, I was never really alone again. Over time, I started realizing it wasn't just a one-time thing. I would catch glimpses of her, sometimes from far away, just passing through the house or standing out in the patio, doing nothing. Other people started seeing her too, which made it worse because nobody could ever explain who she actually was. And the strangest part, what people kept saying, they said she looked exactly like me. Not similar, not close, exactly like me. With the years, the sightings didn't stop. They got worse. More things started happening, not just in that house, but around me too. Some of it was bad, really bad. But there's one thing, one night I still can't get out of my head. By then, I was older, working, living alone. One night, I was heading back home really late. There was no transportation, so I had to walk. I had my headphones on. No music playing, just wearing them out of habit. The street was empty, no cars, no voices, nothing. After a while, I started noticing someone walking on the other side of the street, keeping pace with me. I didn't turn around. To be honest, I wasn't even scared at first, because I already knew who it was. It was her again. I had seen her so many times by then. It didn't even feel shocking anymore, just wrong. I kept walking until I reached this wide avenue I had to cross. There was no traffic light, no crosswalk, nothing. So I just stood there, waiting for a gap between cars. Shh. That's when I felt her, closer than ever before. I turned my head, just a little, and I saw her. She was coming toward me, but not walking. Her feet weren't moving right. They barely touched the ground. It looked like she was being pulled forward, fast, like her body didn't weigh anything. Her arms stiff, slightly away from her sides, and her head tilted just enough to make it look off. Her face, it was mine, but something about it felt unfinished, like the expression didn't belong on a real person. I took a step back, just instinct, and right then, I felt it. It was her again. I had seen her so many times by then. It didn't even feel shocking anymore, just wrong. I kept walking until I reached this wide avenue I had to cross. There was no traffic light, no crosswalk, nothing. So I just stood there, waiting for a gap between cars. Shh. That's when I felt her, closer than ever before. I turned my head, just a little, and I saw her. She was coming toward me, but not walking. Her feet weren't moving right. They barely touched the ground. It looked like she was being pulled forward, fast, like her body didn't weigh anything. Her arms stiff, slightly away from her sides, and her head tilted just enough to make it look off. Her face, it was mine, but something about it felt unfinished, like the expression didn't belong on a real person. I took a step back,
just instinct. And right then, I felt it. A hard hit right in my chest. Not like someone punched me, more like something shoved me with force. I lost my balance, fell backward, straight into some bushes behind me. My headphones flew off, and then I heard it. A loud crash, metal bending, glass breaking. Shh. I looked up. A car had slammed into a tree right where I had been standing. Everything felt slow for a second. I pushed myself up, still trying to understand what just happened. The driver got out, shaking, pale, barely able to speak. He kept saying over and over, "Did you see it? Did you see it? Something crossed the road." The police showed up pretty fast. They asked me if I saw anything. I told them no. I couldn't explain it. I didn't even know how to begin. But I did see her. I saw her clearly. And even now, I still don't know what she was. Because if she hadn't pushed me, that car would have hit me. But at the same time, she was the one who stepped into the road. She caused it. So I don't know if she saved me or if I just got lucky. Before she disappeared for good, my family used to say she was something attached to me, not protecting me, not hurting me, just there. But after that night, I never saw her again, at least not directly. Sometimes when I pass by windows at night, I catch something in the reflection. It doesn't move when I move, and it always seems just a little closer than it should be. To be honest, I didn't even know how to explain it back then. It felt like I was looking at myself, but not really me. More like some kind of second version, standing there, just watching. I remember thinking maybe it was something good. Like, I don't know why, but I actually tried to convince myself it could have been my guardian angel, just looking exactly like me. But even while I was thinking that, something about it felt off. The way it stood. Too straight, like it was trying a little too hard to be me. It's been about 13 years now since that first time, and in all that time, I've only seen her again, once. Just once. I was going through a really bad time back then. I wasn't sleeping much, barely eating, just not okay. My room always smelled kind of stale, like closed air. Curtains half open, but no sunlight really coming in. And then, for a split second, I saw her again. Same face, same body, just standing there, near the doorway. But she didn't blink, didn't move, didn't even shift her weight. And then, she was gone. She never stays. I keep thinking about it, even now, like maybe she wasn't trying to scare me. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe the way I reacted offended her somehow. I know that sounds stupid, but I can't shake that feeling. My oldest son saw her too. This was about 5 years ago, more or less. He was at my mom's house, just sitting there, playing on his phone. The TV was on low volume, some random show. Fan spinning slow, making that ticking sound every few seconds. And then, the power went out. It wasn't even forecasted, just a storm that showed up out of nowhere. The kind where everything cuts off at once. No TV, no fan, no outside noise, just quiet. He got up to go check on his grandmother, phone light lighting his face a little, battery already low. And as he walked past one of the rooms, he stopped. He told me he saw me sitting inside, in the dark, on a chair near the wall, just sitting there, not moving. But I wasn't even in the house, and he knew that. He said, Something about it felt wrong immediately, like the way I was sitting, my back too straight, my hands just resting on my legs, perfectly still. He called out to me, once. No answer. And then he said, the phone light flickered for a second, and in that tiny moment, he felt like I was looking directly at him, even though he couldn't see my face clearly. He walked away after that, didn't go inside the room, didn't check again. The only good thing is, it only happened once to him. He's never seen it again. At least, not that he's told me. Before I finish, there's something else, something recent. This happened about a week after I first talked about all of this. My daughter, she's 12 now. She came up to me, kind of hesitant, and said she's been having the same dream over and over for a long time, but she never told me. She said there's always a woman wearing white, standing somewhere in the room, not close, not far, just there. And she doesn't move, doesn't speak, just watches. And the thing is, I've never talked about this with her, not once. I don't let my kids watch anything scary, nothing like that. So there's no way she could have gotten that idea from somewhere else. But then she started describing her, and I swear, it was the exact same woman I see. Same face, same stillness, same uncomfortable feeling, like she's not supposed to be there, but she is anyway. The only difference is, my daughter only sees her in dreams, for now. And I don't like that, not at all, because I keep thinking, at some point, she might not stay in the dreams anymore. I told her, if she ever sees anything like that while she's awake, she needs to tell me immediately, no matter what. She's my only daughter, and I don't want whatever this thing is to get close to her the way it got close to me. Because I've noticed something. Every time it appears, it looks a little more comfortable, like it's learning, like it's getting used to being here. And that's the part I can't stop thinking about, because if it's getting used to this place, then maybe it's not planning to leave, and I don't think it ever was.